Hi, it's Sheridan here from the Training Designers Club, which is the place to go for practical L&D support, especially if you work on your own. And today I want to talk about something which is especially relevant to anyone who is freelance, but it's also worth considering for you if you're employed and use freelancers or suppliers. And it's the ridiculous notion of a day rate or pricing. It's a complicated process. There are no rules for it, but the one thing that is utterly misleading is calling it a day rate. When a trainer quotes for a day's delivery, that's actually not what they're quoting for. So you might look at their proposal and think, oh, £1,500, that's a lot for a day, isn't it? Crikey, oh, I wish I got £1,500 a day. But of course, it's not. It's nowhere near that, because I'm not going to talk about how freelancers work things out, but obviously, we have costs that we have to cover that you don't have to cover if you're an employee. We have to buy all our tech, all our IT systems. We have to pay for our own personal development. We have to pay for accountants, all of that sort of stuff. So that's all to do with the running costs of the business, which does have to be taken into account. But what I do want to talk about is the pricing relating to a particular project. So if you're a freelancer, obviously you've had to put time and effort into winning a piece of work in the first place. That's time that nobody has paid you for. That's just an underlying cost of your business. So we tend not to build that into the price of the solution. And I think that's reasonable. So let's say you've decided that you're going to be running a 2-day development workshop for key people, middle managers in your client's organization. Obviously, you're going to be paid for the 2 days that you're facilitating. But what else do you do to make those 2 days happen? Obviously, you're going to do some initial research. Even if you're running a fairly standard course, maybe you've been brought in because you have a particular course that the client wants you to run. Maybe you have your signature course, but you're still going to want to tailor it a little bit to the audience. So you're going to have to do some research. Unless it is a course that you just run over and over in a very standard way, you're going to be doing some design. And that design is not just the slides. That design is going to include bespoke case studies, bespoke exercises, hopefully a session plan, maybe some pre-course work, some follow-up work, some recommended reading materials. So there's all of that design to do. Then before you run your 2 days, you've got your personal prep. If you're an experienced facilitator, that's not going to take a huge amount of time, but it is going to take time. You have to make sure that you've got all the equipment you need. If you're running virtually, you have to set up your whiteboard, your polls, whatever it is you're using online. There's prep to do. And then, of course, there's the delivery itself. And then what happens after the delivery? Do you engage with the learners afterwards? Are you sending them out reminders? Are you sending out post-course questionnaires? Are you sending them out assignments? Are you available to answer any questions? What about meetings with the client? What about meetings before you run it, when you go through, this is what I'm proposing, this is what we're going to do? Maybe they tweak it and have ideas of their own. Afterwards, you're going to have some sort of debrief. All of these things need to happen to make those 2 days successful. Yet the one thing I see time and time again in freelance proposals is it's 2 days facilitation, 2 days at 1,200 quid. That is not explaining all the work that's going into it. Naturally, clients have tight budgets. They're going to want to push back on that. They're going to say, can you bring it in under £2,000? And then because you want the work, you feel compelled to do that. And then you start to feel resentful because you're doing what, 3-4 days unpaid work? Because believe me, the research, the design, the admin, the prep for a 2-day workshop is going to be 4 days at least. And then you've got that follow-up as well. So actually the 2 days that you're quoting for is more likely to be for 6 days worth of work. So when you think about, sort of 2,400 or maybe even £3,000 for 2 days work, that sounds very different as to when we're quoting £2,400 for 6 days work. Now, we know that we like to keep proposals simple. We don't want to overcomplicate matters. So you don't need to cost absolutely everything out in your proposal. But what I would recommend is that you specify, in order to deliver this 2-day workshop, I will, and just bullet point all of the things that you're going to do. and then say, and this will cost, and then just put a package price in rather than a day rate. And I think that will help to minimize the amount of negotiation you have to do, because how can your client value all the expertise and all the work you're putting into this if you don't tell them? They don't know if we're keeping it a secret. They know you're going to turn up, you're going to deliver 2 days, and you're going to send an invoice. So if that's all you specify, if that's all you say you're doing, that's all they're going to think you've done. So please educate them, let them know what happens before and after, and how much of your time is being invested into making that 2-day workshop really fit for purpose. If you want more practical tips on training design, do check out the rest of the YouTube channel, especially the Dear Training Designers Club videos. And if you want to learn more about how best to price and raise the value of your L&D and your training, check out the lunch and learn that we had on this. You can get access to the recording in the links below. You can listen to the podcast. You can visit the website, which is www.trainingdesignersclub.co.uk, where you'll find lots of free and low-cost resources, including that lunch and learn. And why not become a VIP member so you can have a team in your pocket for support pretty much 24/7.